Hi, Brandon Webb here, former Navy SEAL, New York Times bestselling author, and founder CEO of SOFREP.com. Here to tell you about what September 11th means to me, the anniversary of the terrorist attacks of 9/11. Very personal experience. I was at SEAL Team 3 when I watched the second plane hit the towers of the Trade Center and knew I would be deployed immediately to Afghanistan, and was at the time married, and my wife was 8.5 months pregnant. So I knew I would be gone for the birth of my son, Hunter, who's now 19 years old. What I want to talk about in this video is, how 9/11 kind of kicked off this rabbit hole of massive and wasteful defense spending, foreign policy strategy completely off the rails and non-existent. Almost, I've characterized it before as schizophrenic in nature, referring to our foreign policy. And talk about what it's done to our reputation. So these are things that are kind of bubbling over for me as we come to the what I think is the 20th anniversary of 9/11 this year. I think about the fact that when I first deployed to Afghanistan, there seemed to be a very clear mission, very clear purpose, and that was to kill the terrorists, destroy the training camps, and hunt down Osama bin Laden. Now, we did most of that, except the bin Laden piece in the first couple years, and I believe we should have pulled out completely from Afghanistan. We could have still managed a very small presence, special operations presence, and intelligence presence in Afghanistan while we continue to hunt down Osama bin Laden. But we stayed, and we spent, I think now it's close to $2 trillion in Afghanistan. And beyond 2003, not a very clear strategy. I've talked to many politicians since I left the military in 2006. Nobody could give me a straight answer on Afghanistan. A lot of senior military leaders as well, very murky answers at best as to what the ultimate strategic objective with Afghanistan was. So there are a lot of leadership failures, which now we're seeing come to light with the pullout debacle and how terrible it went, and how the Taliban were so soon to take power, and now in charge of, I think, $89 billion of defense spending is what we spent on just propping up the Afghan military. So imagine the weapons, the ammunition, the vehicles, the aircraft just turned over to the Taliban, paid for by the US taxpayer. Bigger picture, America seemed to just go crazy. We invaded Iraq. You could make an argument whether that was good or bad. I think the unfortunate thing, just like probably even more impactful than the no-thought pullout in Afghanistan, was the no-thought pullout in Iraq, which left this massive power vacuum. It emboldened Iran to get more aggressive in the region as a regional power. They're for sure cooperating with Russia and propping up Syria and the civil war that's ongoing there. You have the rise of ISIS, which came about because of this power vacuum we left in Iraq. Then you have the massive flow of refugees because we destabilized the region into Europe. And largely, people don't think about this, but this flow of refugees into Europe is what kind of triggered this Brexit vote in the UK. Now, the UK, as we know, has left the European Union. The European Union, which was once going and trending open border, is now trending closed border because the refugees are flooding into these European countries, and everyone's confused. How many refugees do we take? And a lot of them are coming in illegally, which creates problems, as we know, back in the US with our own border issues. We destabilized Libya by going in and overthrowing Gaddafi, largely cooperating with the US. I still to this day have no idea why we overthrew that regime. I lost my best friend Glenn Doherty in Libya, who was a CIA contractor, GRS contractor, amazing guy. And Libya today is still a failed state. So why have we done what we've done over the past 2 decades? I have no idea. And I think that's a big problem. Anytime a country's citizens have no idea what the hell we're doing abroad, why we're deployed to Africa, why we overthrew Gaddafi, why didn't we have a clear plan to pull out of Iraq, why were we in Afghanistan 20 years with no strategic objective? These are big problems. And if you look at it as running a business, if you're to run a business like this and throw trillions of dollars and have nothing to show for it, you'd be out of business, bankrupt, and senior management would be fired and likely investigated. So that's the sad situation we face now in America, and what really weighs heavily on my mind as this anniversary comes up, again, the 20th anniversary of 9/11, is we really have serious issues in America. We owe it to the men and women that gave their lives on both fronts, or many fronts actually, Africa, Southeast Asia, Afghanistan, Middle East, to really think about what are we trying to accomplish abroad with our foreign policy. I could think of a lot of reasons or a lot of things to spend that trillions of dollars on to make our healthcare, education systems better, infrastructure in the U.S. A lot of much more results for that, trillions of dollars spent to spend it back home than we did just flushing it down the toilet with this schizophrenic foreign policy. So that kind of weighs on my mind. Now we have a situation where we have one of the largest transitions of service members to civilian life, a lot of issues with post-traumatic stress. I know that this 20 plus year war on multiple fronts has affected my own community in the SEAL teams. Guys were over deployed, over traumatized, dealing with a ton of post-traumatic stress, trauma issues, dealing with my community, dealing with suicide issues, as is the broader veteran community. These are serious issues, and I think America really owes it to its veterans to give a little bit more than just a thank you for your service. It's to how do we really support these veterans that are transitioning, and look at ways that everyone can help out. So that's my thoughts in a nutshell on the anniversary of 9/11. I have plenty of articles I've written on SOFREP.com, so please check out my work there if you enjoyed this short talk. But on the anniversary of 9/11, all these things are what I'm thinking about, and I think it's up to all of us to see how to make a difference in America. And we are at this time where I'll borrow the quote from JFK. It's like, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Because at a time, no time as I've seen growing up in America, where we have such major problems in this country. We're divided politically. We have major issues with healthcare, education, and spending abroad, and major players like China and Russia taking advantage of the situation. So I hope you enjoyed this talk. Be sure to check out our SOFREP YouTube channel and the main site, SOFREP.com, for more coverage on foreign policy, domestic security, and military news. Thanks.